Hey folks, I'm sure y'all probably know this, but I love video games, board games, sports, tabletop RPGs, really just any kind of game. And one of the things I'm always most drawn to, no matter what medium it is, and that's going to be building a house, a lair, a trophy room, that not so humble abode where the glory of all your past deeds can be on full display for all the imaginary people to see and bask in your glory. Well, now they've officially added that to D&D, and on this episode of Dragons and Dice, I'm breaking down the new Bastion system from the DMG. Welcome to Dragons and Dice. With the release of the DMG, a nice add-on has been the Bastion system that they've created. And let's start with what these bastions are. These are going to be strongholds that the players can build as they play through a campaign, and these can be flavored to whatever fits in your campaign. It could be, a simple cave with a fire pit if you're playing, prehistoric, or it could be all the way up to, a teleporter with a beam me up Scotty action to your spaceship, and which sounds awesome to me. I'll take the Death Star if you don't mind. And these home bases are going to be areas that the players can go to as a nice safe haven from the tolls of adventuring, but they do come with some perks, and you can craft some magic items here, do research, brew potions, build ships, a whole mess of other stuff. It's going to be like a full-on Skyrim house that you get to plop down in and do some cool downtime activities. So the DMG suggests that you let these players use this as like a creative playground and do some player-based world building just on a smaller scale. And I love this because it's, a really good built-in mechanic to increase creativity across the table, and that's always a good thing. It does suggest that if you're giving your players this freedom, not to let them break your game with it, i.e. no Death Star for me if you're playing high fantasy and low tech, but hey, that's how it goes. So, how does one come about this path to happy haven of home ownership? Well, like most things in D&D, that's going to be up to the players and DMs. But these are supposed to come on at level 5. So it might be that you inherit a parcel of a land, or it might be rewarded as a quest from a king. But once you have the spot, it's up to the players what they want to build on it. And it's good to note that these are optional, and that if you have a player that doesn't have enough time or want to fool with this, they can just opt out of it. And some suggestions might be that, like your cleric, they're going to build a temple to their god on their grounds, and the fighter's going to build a training ground on his. But you don't have to fall into that trope if you don't want. You can just, have that fighter who wants just a big, massive mansion. And that seems to be the joy of this new system, is that this can kind of be designed however each player wants it. And another interesting thing, and a part that I'm really excited to get to see in action, is that the players can link this together if they want to. And the way that works is they get their own area, but if they decide, say, to do a big mansion or a big spaceship, each player will have a wing or a deck on there, and that's their bastion that they have control over each time that they take a bastion turn. Okay, let's build a bastion, and then we'll go over what we can do there and how. The easiest way is going to be for this is to have each player design a bastion map of what they intend for their place to look like. You can probably do this on grid paper, and that's probably what I'll do once I get to start running these, because then if people want to combine their places, you can just put all those grids together and kind of sculpt it into its own unique formation and house or whatever it is that your players have picked. And some of the features that you can incorporate are like closets, ramps, corridors, staircases. All those are free. Windows and doors are also free. And you can also build defensive walls around the outside of your keep. Each section of these will be 20 foot high and a 5 foot block, which will be nice because it'll fit right onto your grids. But these do cost, and it takes 250 gold piece per section, and it takes 10 days to build them. But once you get your bastion fully enclosed in walls, if it comes under attack during an event, you will lose less defenders. And if your party combines bastions, they still function as individual ones for all of the features that they get, the number of facilities that they have, and the hirelings and defenders that they'll get. But they do get the option, if someone else is attacked during a bastion event, to share defenders with them to help like reinforce the whole group's area, which is going to be a nice little bit of like co-op play and way of using your defenders. You might have somebody that gets a whole bunch so that the other people don't have to focus on that part as much, and then they kind of are in charge of defending the keep for the group. All right, so let's check out what facilities you get to start with when you start building your bastion. And each of these have spatial requirements, and there's a chart for these, but it goes as follows. A cramped area is 4 squares, a roomy area is 16 squares, and a vast area is 36 squares. And each bastion will get to start with 2 basic facilities that come fully furnished and decorated. And these are the basic facilities. They don't have any in-game effect or buffs like that. They're just for roleplay and the flavor that you want. And you get to pick what 2 you want to starting off. And that comes from being a bedroom, a dining room, a parlor, a courtyard, a kitchen, or a storage area. And if you decide you want to add on some of the basic ones, there's also cost and time and money that's involved in that. And to add a new facility that's cramped is 500 gold pieces, and it takes 20 days to do. A roomy one is 1,000 gold pieces and takes 45 days. And a vast facility, like if you just want to start building that mansion, that's 3,000 gold and 125 days to do that. I make a DM note here. If you're going to be running these, I think that you would really need to have a well-established system for downtime in your campaign, as opposed to your adventures just doing nonstop questing each day. That way you can let enough time pass that these can be like fleshed out. Another nice feature that these are going to come with is that, let's say you start off and you've got 2 like cramped areas, but you come into some gold. Now you can remodel basically, and you can turn a cramped room up to the next level to a roomy area, and that's going to cost 500 gold pieces and take 25 days. And you can also take a roomy area and convert it to a vast area, but that costs 2,000 gold pieces and takes 80 days to do. So that's it for like the flavor part of it. Now let's get into some of the mechanical parts. Each bastion also gets to start with 2 special facilities at level 5, and these can't be bought, but you do get more as you level up. You get 2 more at level 9, 1 more at level 13, and again another one at level 17. These don't have build time, so when you hit 5, 9, 13, and 17, they just are auto built into where you want them. And so here's where the next fun and creative part comes in for each players. Special facilities also come with hirelings, and these get to basically be character-made NPCs that will each run the work of that special facility. So now these PCs at your table each get to make some new NPCs. And I love it because it's great to get to share the creativity with the other people at your table. And on another note, each of these special facilities makes enough passive income to cover the cost of the hirelings, so this doesn't cost you anything to have these. So now when you get a Bastion turn, you can issue Bastion orders to 1 or more of your special facilities, and if you're not there, you just get to take the maintain, which is basically a pass. But if you are there in your house, kicking it with your hirelings, then you can give them orders. Or if you have another way, like the sending spell, you can use that to communicate if you're not at your Bastion to also give out orders during your Bastion turn. And the orders you can give out are to craft, and they can make an item in a facility that allows that. And each of these will have time that it takes. And you can only craft 1 item at a time, even if it has an option to do 2 orders at once. You can empower, and that'll temporarily give power to you or someone else. You can harvest, and that's just what it sounds like. You can have, resources gathered from your special facilities. The maintain one we went over already, and that's just a pass, and that's when the Bastion events that we'll go over later take place. So if you're not there, something happens while you're not there overseeing the things. You can recruit people, and that can be creatures or mounts or whatever, depending on what special facilities you have. You can have your hirelings do some research, or you can have them trade out some goods and services and try to make you a little bit of passive income. But before we go any farther, let's check out what each of the special facilities are, because there's a lot of these. Some of them have prerequisites, and we'll go over them as we go, and we'll see what all you can put in your fancy new house. First up, we got the Arcane Study, and this one's a level 5 requirement. It's roomy sized, and you get 1 hiring when you get it, and the order that you can give out is to craft things. This one does have a special feature. It's called the Arcane Study Charm, and if you spend a long rest in your Bastion, you gain a magical charm. This lasts for 7 days, and with that, you can cast the Identify spell without using the spell slots or mats. The craft options you get here is you can craft an Arcane Focus if you're missing one, or you can craft a book, or once you get to level 9, you can craft a magical item that's common or uncommon, and there's a table for arcane magical items in the DMG that you have to pick from. And these also come with a cost, and you have to pay that cost for crafting the magical item. There is one caveat. If you craft a magical item that allows you to cast a spell from it, you have to be there, and the hireling can assist you, and you have to have the spell that you're trying to cast out of that item prepared for the entire week that you're making it. Then there's the Archive, and this one requires you to be level 13. It's roomy, and it comes with its 1 hireling. And the orders that you can give here are to research. And when you issue a hireling this order, it gains knowledge on a subject as if they cast the legend lore spell, and then they tell you what they've learned. You can also get one rare reference book in your archive, and while you and the book are in your bastion, in your archive area, you gain advantage on the skill that that book is based off of, and those are the intelligence-based skills, so arcana, history, investigation, nature, and religion. And if you decide to enlarge this facility to vast, you can add 2 more of these reference books to your collection. So you would have 3 things that while you're in your bastion, you would have advantage on the rolls in. After that is the armory. This one's level 5. It's also roomy, and it comes with 1 hireling. And the orders here are to trade. What that order does is causes this hireling to stock the armory. And this costs 100 gold plus 100 gold for each bastion defender that you have. If you have a smithy in your bastion already, the cost is half. And while your armory is stocked, your defenders are harder to kill. And when an event would cause one of them to roll dice to determine if your bastion loses defenders or not, you can roll a d8 in place of the d6 you would normally roll. And when the event is over, the equipment is expended no matter the results. And so you would have to rearm each of your defenders again. There's a barracks. This one's also level 5 and roomy, and it comes with 1 hireling. And the orders you can give out here are to recruit. And you can have more than 1 of each of these, but they hold up to 12 defenders each. And your order to recruit gives you up to 4 defenders. So if you have room for them, this is free. And if you enlarge the facility to vast, you have to pay the gold for it, but then each barracks can hold up to 25 defenders. These will be the people who defend your bastion during the bastion events, if you're attacked. After that, we have a crazy one, and it's a demi-plane. Yeah, at level 17, you get the ability to put a portal on a wall or a floor, and then you and the 1 hireling that comes with it are the only people that can go through. And this gives you an ability or a boost called Arcane Resilience. And when you use the Empower order for your hireling there, you will gain temp HP equal to 5 times your level after spending a long rest in your demi-plane. And I mean, if your campaign gets high enough to get to this, that's nuts because that's 85 temp HP that you can have every week. And you can also, while you're in that demi-plane, make 1 non-magical item that's less than 5 feet area and less than 5 gold in value. And you can do that once per long rest, but I don't really see how that's going to benefit you too much at level 17. But, you know, hey, 85 temp HP every week is pretty awesome. You can have one of your facilities be a gaming hall. This requires you to be level 9. The size for this gaming hall is vast, and it comes with 4 hirelings, which I like to think of as blackjack dealers. And when you issue the order to them, they turn this gaming hall into a gambling den. And then you get to roll a D100, and you collect the house's cuts based off of the winnings, and those winnings are based off that D100 roll. At level 5, you can have one of your facilities be a garden. This one's roomy, and it comes with 1 hireling, and the orders you give here are to harvest. But this one's a little bit different because you get to pick what type of gardens you have. And if you were to expand this, you can have 2 gardens, and you can have them harvesting from each as, 1 hireling per each garden. And the first option is you can have a decorative one, and this is basically a flower garden, and you either get 10 bouquets that you can sell for some money, 10 vials of perfume, or 10 candles that when you harvest. You can have a food garden, and when you harvest this one, you get 100 days worth of rations. You could have an herb garden, and with this one, you can get 10 healer's kits or 1 potion of healing. And the last option is you can have a poisoner's garden, and with that one, when you harvest, you get either 2 vials of antitoxin or 1 vial of basic poison. And like I said, you can enlarge this and have a second one, and they both work off the same order, but they don't have to be the same garden. So you can have a poisoner's garden and an herb garden and collect different things from each. Along the same lines, but kind of the next level up, is you can have a greenhouse, and this one's level 9. It's roomy, and it comes with 1 hireling, and it also has the harvest order. And here, this one has Fruit of Restoration, and you can eat one of these and benefit from a lesser restoration spell. These fruit go bad in 24 hours, so you can't just, pack up your bag of holding with a ton of them and walk around always having lesser restoration. But while you're there, if you got an ailment, that's a nice little cure. And when you take the harvest order here, you can get a greater healing potion, and that takes 7 days to make. Or you can get a poison, and you get to pick between Assassin's Blood, the Malice Poison, a Pale Tincture, or a Truth Serum, and that also takes 7 days to make. A level 17 option is a guild hall, and to get this, you have to have expertise and a skill. The space is vast, and it comes with 1 hireling, and the orders you give out are to recruit. And you are the master of this guild, and your guild has around 50 members that live and work not in your bastion, but around it. And when you take the recruit order here, what you're doing is you're recruiting a guild to go do some special tasks for you. And some examples are if like you had an adventurers guild, you could have them go and try to capture a CR2 monster to put in your menagerie. Or if you had a baker's guild, you could have them make a bunch of bread that you could sell for some, passive income. And then there's one really cool one. If you have a mason's guild, this is a great way to build walls because they can build a wall in one day instead of 10. And you can also sub these out to other players' bastions if they're within 1 mile of yours. So if everybody's grouped up, it'll be really nice because you can get a Mason's Guild house and then build walls for cheap and quick. You could have one of your facilities be a laboratory, and this one's level 9. It's roomy, and it comes 1 hiring. And the order you give out here is to craft. And you can craft anything that could be made using the alchemist supplies from the player's handbook, or you can craft a poison. And when you craft a poison, you have to pay half the crafting cost for it. At level 5, you could also get a library, and the size is roomy. It comes with 1 hireling, and the order that you get to give out here is to research. And when you give this order, you pick a topic, and the hireling will research it for 7 days, and then they will obtain 3 accurate pieces of info that were previously unknown to you. There is a caveat here. The DM gets to be the one that decides what these pieces of information are, so you don't just get to be like, what is the best way to kill the final boss, and then the DM tell you, unless they wanted to, but it's their choice. Another option you have is a meditation chamber. This one is level 13. The space for this is cramped, and you get 1 hireling with it. And the order that you give out here is empower. And when you use this order, your hireling finds inner peace, and when you roll for a bastion event, you can roll twice and pick either result. So that's a pretty nice little way of having advantage on what happens during the bastion event. You can also fortify yourself here, and if you spend 7 continuous days in meditation, you gain advantage on 2 kinds of saving throws for the next week. And you roll a d6 for these, and it just runs right down the list of strength, dex, con, int, wisdom, charisma. If you roll doubles, you re-roll. So that's a really awesome ability. 2 types of extra advantage on saving throws, always great. At level 13, you can build a menagerie, and this place is vast, and it comes with 2 hirings, and the order it has is to recruit. And this enclosure is big enough to house 4 large creatures, but if you want small or medium creatures, 4 of those will equal 1 large, so you could put in 16 medium or small creatures if you wanted. And they can recruit 1 creature. It takes a week, and you have to pay a cost of the creature, and there's a chart in the DMG that tells you what they are, but they range from 50 at 0 CR all the way up to 3,500. And the biggest creatures that you can grab are like CR3s. So you can grab an owlbear here, which would be really cool. The creatures in your menagerie can also be used for defenders if you choose, but if you want to keep those fur babies safe, you can have them stay in their stables and they're enclosed there and can't get hurt during a bastion event. If you want, you can build an observatory. This is a level 13 requirement, and you have to be able to use a spellcasting focus to do this. It is roomy sized, and it comes with 1 hiring, and it has the empower order. And it also has a special feature called Observatory's Charm. And when you use the observatory and spend a long rest in it, you can then cast the Contact Other Plane spell without spending a spell slot for up to 7 days. And the empower order that you get to give out here is the Eldritch Discovery. And if you spend a week in the observatory, you can then roll a die. On an even, nothing happens. But on an odd, you get to pick your choice of the Charm of Dark Vision, the Charm of Heroism, or the Charm of Vitality. So a nice little buff if you get a good roll. And if you get all the way up to level 13, you can build a pub. And we all know the pub is love. And it comes with 1 hiring. It's roomy. And the order that you get to give out is research. And the way this research works is the kind-hearted good listener of a bartender is really a spy for you, and he can tell you things that are happening in the area. You also get to pick a magical brew that your pub will have on tap, and this can be a brew that works like an enlarged reduced potion but lasts for 24 hours. It can be a spider climbing potion. One's for dark vision. There's one that gives you resistance to necrotic damage. And there's another that gives you immunity to the frightened condition. And all of these last for 24 hours. So drink one on your way out of the bastion, and you'll be good to go for a day. And if you enlarge the facility to vast, you can add 2 of these on tap, and you get 3 extra hirelings as they move around and work as waiters and collecting information for you. The next one of the facilities is the Reliquary, and this is level 13, and it requires you to be able to use a holy symbol. The size is cramped, and you get 1 hireling when you get this one. And the order that you can give out with this is to harvest. And this one also gives you a magical charm that lets you cast a greater restoration spell one time without using spell slots or materials. And that has a 7-day window. So you got to come and like re-up if you want to do that ability again. And then the harvest ability, when you give them that order, you can make a special talisman here that will take the place of 1,000 gold pieces in spell components. And that is only for one spell though. And it isn't consumed by doing so, even if the spell would consume this. But you can only do this one time before that has to be recharged back at your facility. At level 9, you can get a Sacristity, and this requires you to be able to use a Holy Symbol or a Druidic Focus. And here you get one hireling. It's roomy. The order that you get to give out is to craft. And what you can craft here is holy water. But you can spend gold to up the potency of this by 1d8, and it costs 100 gold for each one of these that you do, and you can do that up to 5 times. So you would have a 6d8 holy water that would cost you 500 gold pieces each week. You can also use the craft order to make uncommon magic items from the relics table in the DMG. And the last feature that this will give you is if you take a short rest while you're in this facility, you can recover 1 level 1 spell slot. After that, at level 5, you can build a sanctuary, and this also requires a druidic symbol or a holy symbol. And this one's roomy. It comes with one hireling, and if you spend a long rest in your bastion, you get a sanctuary charm, and that lets you cast the healing word one time with no slot within the next 7 days. You can also use the craft order to make new holy symbols or druidic focuses here. Those are free, but it takes 7 days to do so. At level 17, the option you get is called Sanctum, and this also requires your holy symbol or a druidic focus. It is roomy. It comes with 4 hirelings, and you can use the Empower order here. It gives you a Sanctum's Charm, and after you finish a long rest in your bastion, it lets you cast the heal spell one time without spell slots in the next 7 days. You can also use your order here to perform fortifying rites, and each time that these rites are finished, you gain temp HP equal to your level. So like the last one, you get another 85 temp HP right here from this one. And you also get the Sanctum Recall ability, and you always have the Word of Recall spell prepared, and when you cast it, the Sanctum is the destination for this spell, and one person that arrives with you in this way will also receive the heal spell upon arrival. You can get a Scriptorium. At level 9, it's roomy, and it comes with one hireling, and it has the craft order as your ability, and your craft options are to make a replica of a non-magic book, and this takes 7 days. You can also use it to craft a level 3 scroll or down, but you have to pay the price and time just like normal scroll craftings do. And the third options you get here is that you can make pamphlets or sheets of paper, and they cost 1 gold for each copy that you have, and then you can also have them distributed by your hirelings within 50 miles of your bastion. I really like this one. It sounds like you could start a propaganda campaign if you wanted to sing your glories or tell about a festival that you're going to be playing at if you're a bard. I just like the flavor on that one a lot. At level 5, you also get the ability to make a smithy, and this one comes with 2 hirelings, and the order here is to craft. And your options are to make anything that you can be crafted with the smith's tools. If you're level 9, you can make common and uncommon items off the armaments table here, but you still have to go off the cost and time on those crafting tables. At level 9, you can get a stable. It's roomy. It comes with 1 hireling, and your order here is to trade. And you can have more than one of these, and each one comes with either a horse, a camel, 2 ponies, or 2 mules, your choice when you build it. And the stables are big enough to house 3 large animals. And if you have a mount, it can spend 2 weeks in the stable, and it gains advantage on animal handling checks to control it. So if you have like a trusty steed that you want to get better at using in battle, it's a great place to put it for a couple weeks, and then you'll be able to command that animal a little bit better. You can also have your hirelings sell mounts for you if you choose. And if you enlarge this facility, you can house 6 large animals once you make this one vast. You can get a storehouse. This one requires you to be level 5, and it's roomy, and it comes with 1 hireling. And the order you get to give out for this one is to trade. And so the way this works is you can have your hirelings go buy things for you and then store them. And then you can also have them sell those things for a profit. And starting off at level 5, you make 10% off of what you get, and you can buy a total of 500 goods per week. So you can spend a week buying 500 goods in gold pieces, and then the next week sell it for 550 gold. But that goes up as you level up. You make 20% profit when you reach level 9. You make 50% profit at level 13. And when you get to level 17, you make 100% profit. And like I said, at level 9, the amount of goods you can buy also goes up. It goes to 2,000 at that point, so you can start making a decent little chunk off of that. 50% each week, every 2 weeks, you can make 1,000 gold. And at 13, that limit goes up to 5,000, and that's where it caps out. So if you get this one rolling, each week you'd have a really reliable, steady passive income just from 1 week buy, 1 week sell, and you're making money left and right. You can put a teleportation circle in if you like, and this one requires you to be level 9. It comes with 1 hireling, and the way this works is you recruit a wizard, and that wizard will come and spend up to 14 days in your bastion, and when they're there, they can cast a level 4 wizard spell on you or lower. You have to pay the material cost though. And when you get to level 17, that wizard can cast 1 level 8 spell or down on you. Same thing, you still have to pay the material cost. If you tend toward the thespian side, you can build a theater, and at level 9, you get to hire 4 hirelings to go with this, and the area is vast. And the order that you give out is to empower. And when you use this order, you basically put on plays. And there are multiple parts that you can do here. You can be a writer, a director, a music composer, or the performer. And everyone that takes part in the show will do a charisma check, as you can have other members of your party take part in the play. And if you end up with more passes than fails, you receive a theater die that's a D6, and it works kind of like Bardic Inspiration. You get to carry that around with you for a week, and anytime you need to use it just like you would a Bardic Inspiration. You can have a training area. This requires you to be level 9. It's a vast area. It comes with 4 hirelings, and the order is to empower, and you get to hire training experts when you do this. And if you spend 8 hours a day for a week, when you're there, you get a bonus depending on what training you were doing. There's a battle expert, and that will reduce the damage you take from melee attacks by 1d4 per hit. There's a skill expert, and that'll give you proficiency in a skill for a week. There's a tool expert that does the same thing just with tools. And then you can also train in unarmed combat, and your unarmed strikes will do an extra 1d4 damage. Say hello, monks. That one's for you. And then there's also weapon training. And you pick a martial or a simple weapon, and then you can train for a week and become proficient if you're not. But if you're already proficient, you gain the mastery of that weapon. And if you're a collector, there's a trophy room here also. At level 9, it's roomy, and you get 1 hireling, and your hirelings get to take the research order. And when they do research, they can research about famous objects, creatures, or legends, and you get 3 pieces of factual information after they've researched this for a week. And if you don't have anything for them to research, you can have them try to find you a trinket, and if they do, you get to roll on the implement chart, the common version, and add that into your inventory. There's the option of adding in a war room. This one requires you be level 17, and you have to have a fighting style or an unarmored defense feature. And you get to start with 2 lieutenants, and they don't count as defenders for your bastion, but they do reduce the dice that you roll when you're determining how many defenders are lost. And the order that you get to give them are to recruit. You can either get extra lieutenants, and you can have up to 10 of these, or you can also use them to recruit soldiers. And each lieutenant can muster 100 guards or 20 mounted guards. And each one costs you 1 gold per day, and that's per guard and per horse. So if you have 100 guards, that's 100 gold. If you have 20 mounted, that's 40 gold every day. And now you have a traveling warband that's kind of at your disposal. But they do have to keep their lieutenant with them. If something happens and the lieutenant either goes back to your bastion or is killed, the warband will disband. Also, if you don't pay the upkeep costs, they are basically not getting fed, and your warband will disband. And while you have a band out in the world, not at your bastion, you can no longer recruit anymore, so you have to bring them back before you can re-up on troops. And the last facility that you can build is a workshop. And this one starts at level 5. It's roomy, and it comes with 3 hirelings. And the order you can give, as you guessed, is to craft things. And the way this works is you get to pick 6 of the artisan crafting tools when you get this. And when you give the craft order, you can craft anything that can be made with the tools that you already have there. And when you get to level 9, you can start crafting magical items of uncommon rarity. And you get to do this from the crafting charts in the DMG. And after you spend time in your workshop, if you spend us a short rest there, you gain heroic inspiration, but you can only get this up to once a day. You can also enlarge this facility, and if you do, you get 2 more hirelings, and you get to pick 3 more of the artisan tools to work with. So that's all the special facilities that you get access to. Let's check out what these Bastion events are. And these are going to take place when you're not kicking it at home. It's going to happen when you take the maintain action, like you're out questing and it's time for your Bastion turn for the week. Then you have to take the maintain action. If you can't get back there, send a message. And when this happens, the DM will roll on the Bastion event chart. This is a D100 chart, and when you roll on it, they have to be resolved before you can really do anything else in your campaign. So you'll go through each player's Bastion turns in order, just whatever, whether you do initiative for it or what. But then you'll roll on this chart, and you'll resolve those individually as you go. And like I said, that's a D100, and at 1 to 50, all is well, and nothing happens, and it's just basically like a pass. Nothing took place in your Bastion of importance this week. From 51 to 55, your Bastion got attacked. Now you have to roll 6 D6s, and any dice that rolls a 1 means that one of your defender dies. And if all of your defenders are dead, a random special facility will be shut down until you repair it, and that takes 1 week to do. From 56 to 58, you have hired a criminal as a hireling. Now there's a warrant out for its arrest, and if you want to keep that person working at your facilities, you've got to pay off a bribe of 1d6 times 100. Or if you let them take the hireling to jail, then you have to spend a week hiring someone to take their place, and you can't use that facility for a week. 59 to 63 is an extraordinary opportunity, and if you choose to have this happen, you pay 500 gold, and the DM will roll on this chart again. From 64 to 72, you get friendly visitors, and a group stops by, and they offer you 1d6 times 100 gold pieces for the use of your base for a week, basically, as they travel through the area. 73 to 76 is guest, and these people come to stay with you for a bit, and you roll a d4 and get either a person of renown that will give you a letter of recommendation as payment for staying at your place, a guest seeking sanctuary that will pay you 1d6 times 100 gold pieces at the end of the week, a mercenary that counts as a free defender until you send them away or they are killed, or a friendly monster comes to stay there, and he will count as a Bastion defender. The examples they give in the DMG is that you could have a friendly brass dragon stop by, and you get to add that in as a defender for your Bastion, which I think is just awesome. If you roll a 77 to a 79, that's lost hirelings, and one facility loses all of its workers, and you can't use that facility on your next Bastion turn. At 80 to 83 is a magical discovery, and your hirelings discover an uncommon magical potion or scroll for you to have. If you roll an 84 to a 91 is refugees, and 2d4 refugees are fleeing something, and if you have room, they will request to stay at your place, and they'll pay you 1d6 times 100 in gold pieces for being able to stay there. At 92 to 98, that one is a request for aid, and a call to help goes out from somewhere around your Bastion. Now you send Bastion defenders out. Each one that you send, you roll 1d6 for, and if the total of your added up d6s equals higher than 10, you succeed and receive 1d6 times 100 in gold pieces. And if it's less than 10 on your added up d6s that you roll, it's still resolved. You get half the reward, but you lose one defender. And then if you roll a 99 to a 100, that's the good one. You get treasure, and you find loot. You'll roll a D100, and there's a chart in the DMG that will tell you how special this treasure is, and it ranges from pieces of art that are worth 25 gold pieces all the way up to, if you rolled a 99 or a 100 on it, you could get a rare magical item. So these seem like there'll be some fun events to have happen once a week in game, but it does seem like it'll be a lot of upkeep and would take a good bit of time if you try to do all this at the table. I think when I start implementing this stuff into my home games, I'll probably do Bastion turns off the table during the gaps between our plays. And then if there's one that like lends itself to role playing a lot, like there was going to be a theater production or something that you wanted to actually act out with the group, you could have the simple ones resolved off screen. And then when you started your campaign that next week or next meeting, go ahead and take care of finishing these up. There is one other note. It's also possible to lose your Bastion for a bit. You can either just give it up as a player if you don't want to fool with this anymore, and your hirelings and defenders will go their own way. And if this happens, I think as the DM, I would probably make that group turn into like a band of bandits that would like terrorize that area until someone dealt with it. And the other option that can happen is out of neglect. So if your player was to be killed, if you go a number of Bastion turns equal to your level without giving it orders, it will be abandoned and then it will be looted by random people in the area and you can lose it. And then the third way that you can lose your bastion is if you're brave enough to draw from the deck of many things and draw the Ruination, it just destroys your bastion in a terrible way that you and the DM get to work out, earthquake, meteor, pestilent plague, your choice. But don't fear, if you do lose your bastion, you can get another one back. You and the DM just work it out, and there's charts in the DMG for that on how much it costs to get your special facilities back and all those things if you're already leveled up past a certain point. So that's basically it for Bastions in the new DMG, and I think this is going to be a really fun system. It's nice to have some kind of like laid down rules for how you can run people's houses and what benefits they give you for putting this time into your game and the little buffs that they get and the little items that your players can make. And I also love the fact that this lets your players kind of take bigger roles in building your world and what they want their personal place to look like. And I think you're going to end up with lots of interesting, fun stuff with this going on. And I can't wait to start implementing this into my home game. And I hope y'all enjoy it and that's stuff that y'all can add to your games. Well, folks, that's it for this episode of Dragons and Dice. Thanks for tuning in and spending your time listening to me go on about my favorite TTRPG, Dungeons and Dragons. And like always, anytime you could leave a review, a follow, or a like wherever you get your podcast, it'd be greatly appreciated as it helps with the exposure of a new show. We're also now on Instagram. You can check us out in the link below. And until next time, may your DMs be kind, may your D20s roll high. Bye.